Stay Human podcast. I am Michael Franti, and we are here in Templeton, California, which is one of the most beautiful places this time of year. Man, it is. We've hit it just like exactly right. Because if we were here like maybe 5 days ago, it would have been like 7 million degrees out here. And in a couple weeks, it'll start chilling out. It gets a little chilly in these foothills. So we are, man, the weather is perfect here. We're at the Whale Rock Festival. Yes, and this place is really an interesting vineyard because the Whale Rock, I was like, where'd you guys get that name? And I just thought like, in my head, I'm thinking, that's just a dope ass name. You know, like I would call my thing Whale Rock just because it sounded cool. But they actually have petrified whale bones that they found in this vineyard. So this, you know, in my head, you know, I always take it to the most spiritual place. So I'm thinking, oh, this was like a spiritual like graveyard where whales would come to like have their last moments, pass away, and all their bones ended up here. But I have no scientific basis for that. That's just my, yeah. But we are here today with an incredible group who I have yet to hear. I just read their bio and I thought it was super cool. We've got Las Cafeteras here. Check it out.
Hey.
And we got Denise and we got Hector. Yes. Tell us about you. Where are you guys from? Or where are you based now?
Oh, that's a complicated question, but I'm going to give you the short answer.
Yeah. All right.
We're from LA. We are from LA. We're Chicanas, Chicanos, doing Afro-Mexican, urban folk, punk,
rap,
Chicano, open heart, higher conscious music.
So, did you grow up in LA?
Yeah, born and raised.
Okay.
What part, Carlos? What part?
I'm from Southeast LA.
You're from Southeast LA.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, what was it like growing up there?
Well, growing up in Southeast LA, it's very Mexican. It's very highly concentrated in immigrant Mexicans. My parents are from Mexico. And so I was born and raised in LA, my sister too. So it's interesting. There's a blend of cultura, of cultures in LA in general. But it was all about your parents work hard, expect you to live the farce of American dream, and then it's very complicated when you grow up and you say, hey, I still have loans to pay. And I haven't bought a house, but I'm living my dream.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just about hard work.
When you were a kid growing up, what like, tell me about your earliest memories as a kid.
My earliest memories, and I think back at this, and really it was a lot about, I mean, when you grow up with undocumented parents, it's a lot about fear. It's a lot about not really understanding what's going to happen to your family. It's about navigating between different cultures, about not really understanding who you are. Are you Mexican? Are you American? What language is your language? And so my first language was Spanish, and then I forgot it because there's a lot of, messaging and shame that comes
You're
with
watching TV and just
so it's like, is that who I am? I don't want to be that. Right? And then growing up and really understanding like there's a beauty behind culture and tradition, and you have ancestral dreams that it still carry you, and even energy and strength. And so growing up, there was just it was a lot of like, who am I? When am I? Who am I supposed to be in this world? And now as an adult, I feel that it's my duty as a brown woman, as a feminist, to really represent for Chicanitas out there, for other women, to not just be seen as an accessory on a stage, but I have a lot to say. I'm going to say it. To take up a lot of space and to be able to disrupt a narrative of my people in a way that still makes people happy.
Nice. I like that. I like the way
I wanted to be a Dodger.
Come on up here. Come on up here. Just grab the mic.
So, mine's a little bit different. If you would have asked me up until age 15 what I wanted to do in my life, I wanted to play shortstop for the Los Angeles Dodgers. You know what I'm saying? That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be Steve Sax.
I'm glad you did it. And you know why? Because I'm a Giants fan.
I know you are. You're the Bay.
You're be on my bus.
You're Bay Area, man. Hey, but you know what? Giants, y'all. Hey, Romo.
Los Gigantes.
Hey, man. Giants have been great. Dodgers are kicking ass right now.
It's all good.
We're doing good, so I'm glad, man. And this shows that Dodger fans and Giant fans can be in the same place. We can get along. If we can do it, anybody can do it. Israel and Palestine, you can do it too, man. You know, that's easy. Dodger and Giant fans, that's hard.
So tell us about your family.
It's not that different from Denise. My mama's from Morelia, Michoacan. She came when she was 14 years old. She crossed the border with 7 brothers and sisters. She went.
What was their dream? What did they want when?
God, when I asked my mom, my mom didn't necessarily. She doesn't talk about her dreams growing up. She talks about surviving.
Yeah.
She got put into foster care. She graduated. She met my pops. My dad was sort of like this border kid who was shot. He was in the hospital. My mom used to be with a church group. My aunt called my mom to say, go pray for this man who's dying, my brother. My mom goes to pray for this guy, and he survives, and it's my dad.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? That's how they met. And so like and my dad converted. My dad used to be, addicted to heroin, and he flipped.
Wow.
He said the day he stopped using drugs was the day I was born.
Wow.
And so they got really involved in the church, and my mom raised 6 kids, and when we all grew up, she went back to school. She went in theological seminary. She got multicultural studies and liberation theology degree.
Wow.
She was running a church in Compton. So my mom really was just around, like, her life was really about like serving Jesus. That was her thing.
Okay. And what kind of work were they doing?
My mom always did church work.
Okay.
My dad was a carpenter, so it kind of makes sense. He's like Jesus work. You know what I'm saying? He did that Jesus labor.
Nice.
But my dad was a carpenter. My mom did church work, and they raised a family. I think once they had kids, like, their life was about us.
And for you, what did your parents do?
My mom's a seamstress, and so she makes a lot of the outfits I wear on stage.
Oh, wow. Stand up, let's see.
Well, not that. but I like to honor her work by wearing it on my body.
Nice.
She's an artist, and I don't think she knows the honor that I have by wearing the work. My dad actually worked for motion pictures. He's a mold maker. So he'd work on movie sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were describing, they're both very hard workers, and so at what point in your childhood growing up, you're talking about before how there's this mix, and this dichotomy in your life of being from this immigrant family, and now you're in America, and there's these pressures between these two cultures. And so at what point did you start playing music? Like, was it during any of that, or?
It's interesting. I didn't start playing music till after grad school.
Oh, wow.
So I'm actually, I'm a clinical social worker by trade. I did a lot of work in mental health, primarily with undocumented women who were surviving domestic violence.
Yeah.
And so it's a healing kind of work. And so music became my healer. And I started dancing folklorico, which is Mexican folk dance, when I was 15. And I always say it saved me from myself because I had a lot of self-injuring kind of tendencies. And so it was the only way I felt free. And after grad school, we started playing music in this community center called the Eastside Cafe with Zapatista principles, right?
Yeah.
Creating a world where many worlds fit, understanding that the beauty and the skills and everything we need in our own communities we already have. It's just about digging them out and honoring them. And so we started playing music. I was already in my mid-20s. And it was kind of mind-blowing for me that at that age I was still discovering myself and I was discovering my voice. And even with our friends, we were raised to be quiet and not being seen. And as I think brown people, a lot of times we even see our own bodies in this different way, right? Either bodies for labor, for resources for other people, but it's like, how do we honor our own stories as people who are Mexican American, as people whose stories often get derailed, right? Or often don't really appear in history books. How do we take those out, make them beautiful again, and remind people that, hey, we not only exist, but we're a beautiful people, and we're a beautiful culture, and this culture is still really alive. We're not in a museum, right? With traditional instruments, and as 20-something-year-olds, we were still discovering that. And so, it was, again, something that saved me from myself in a point where I didn't really understand why I was doing what I was doing, right?
Yeah. Hector, grab the mic. What was the hardest thing for you as a teenager? What was the most difficult thing for
It's interesting. I was the oldest of 6. I was raised by a single mom. My parents divorced when we were young. But I remember when we graduated high school, we were homeless for about a year. And then so we had to move in with my aunt. So there was 6 of us, my mom plus my godmother, and we had to move in with my aunt in a 1-bedroom. Wow. And I remember that was a really, really difficult time. But it was
And you, as being the oldest, were you kind of like a dad for
man.
a lot of the time?
There was a lot of tension between my parents. So my dad didn't want to take any of the kids.
Yeah.
And so, I felt like this incredible responsibility with my mom, and also to make sure that, when my mom was having a hard time, that I was making sure taking care of the kids and my family, but we're all really tight, but making sure that it wasn't a bad time. So, when we think back it was actually, every night we would eat dinner together. Yeah. We would all sleep on the floor like enchiladas, you know what I'm saying? And there was one couch. So on Mondays I had the couch. Tuesday David had the couch. Wednesday Andres. Friday Luisa. And so we made it like a game. So it would always be like, hey, whose days at the couch? We would celebrate that person. They would get the best dessert. So we did things together. And I remember at that time working really hard to make sure that that we stay together as a family, and we didn't see this as a negative thing, that actually, this is a gift, this is an opportunity for us to be closer. And now, like, our family's tight. But I remember that was just a really, really hard time. And it also helped me understand that that being homeless is not just me being on the streets. There's a lot of folks who can't afford to live. Yeah. Multiple families in one household. A lot of folks through health bills and hospital bills and healthcare system can't afford them and actually, become homeless. Yeah. And so it was a thing that happened in my life that really opened my eyes to a lot of injustices, and folks just trying to like live and be good, but we couldn't. Yeah. And so so that really enabled us, like, we're movement kids. So we met doing organizing, student organizing, doing Zapatista inspired work. And that's part of our ethos as musicians now. I was an organizer for 8 years. Yeah. Denise ran the Gender and Sexuality Center at Cal State Los Angeles for 6 years, and now our music we tell the hidden stories of LA, but we ain't mad, because we still here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Like, we still here. We survived, and so part of our stuff is around celebrating that stuff, Okay. And so turning anger into energy. Yes. Because anger is a real thing, but if it's not controlled, man, it can be a very negative emotion, dangerous emotion, that can eat you up, man. And for us, like, our performance is a way for us to manifest energy in a positive way. Focus it in it. Yeah, man, because it can eat you alive. It's eaten a lot of my family alive. I've seen it.
Denise, I want to just ask a bit about the music, and at what point did music come into your life? So was your household filled with music all the time, or just, you just listen to your own music, or what was your musical?
It's funny. I knew what kind of music was playing. By what music was playing was what kind of chore I was going to be doing that weekend. If it was like
she'd butter you up.
If it was like Juan Gabriel and Rocío Dúrcal, it's like indoor, polish all the furniture. Okay. If it was rancheras, it means like go mow the lawn. Okay. It's like, who's playing music? All right, I'm yours this weekend. So yeah, I mean, music is in us, right? It's part. I think for my parents, it reminded them of their home country. Yeah. And then, high school, I was like really into like dark, like The Cure, like Portishead, like Riot Girl. And I think music helps. Morrissey. Nobody outgrows Morrissey. That's what I'm saying. Anything that was depressing, I was like, yeah. So my mom was like, you are weird.
What is it? I've always wondered, what is
it
about the Morrissey Mexican?
We love to suffer.
Because I love Morrissey. Is that it?
I think it's
I love the
he's
Smiths
Irish.
when I was a kid growing up.
No, he's not Irish. But I think, I don't know.
Yeah, grab it, yeah.
In Mexican culture, there's a lot of like the rancheras, banda music, mariachi. Yeah. Like, I think because Mexican culture is so machista and very masculine, a lot of men hide their feelings. Yeah. But the music, like the sort of brings it out. Yeah. So men love the music because it's a way for them to express themselves that they're not able to, like, in everyday life. And I think Morrissey as this male figure singing these like depressing heartache ballads really, really touch, like, I think the Mexican community in a way that I think like it reminds us sort of like of this heartache and of these emotions that we can't always express. Yeah. You know, growing up in like, you know, in homes that tell you not to cry, and a culture that sort of denounces male sort of sensuality and emotions. And I think Morrissey really, I don't know how he does it, man, but damn it, I love him. I love him.
We love you, Marcy.
So tell me about the group. Tell me, first of all, how did you guys get the name? And then secondly, give me a little bit of the origin story. And then after that, we're going to ask a couple questions so you guys be thinking about it.
Well, we started playing Son Jarocho at the Eastside Cafe. So everywhere we'd go.
What is that, Son Jarocho?
Son Jarocho is Afro-Mexican music from southern Veracruz in Mexico. It's a slave music. And so when people were taken from West Africa and basically imported into the Americas, they did it through the port of Veracruz. So a lot of people don't know that there's an African culture element and life.
They call the third root.
The third root in Mexico. You know, and in Mexico, there's still turned a blind eye to the darker identity. And so Son Jarocho is a blend of that. It's a blend of African, Spanish, native, indigenous cultures and sounds. And it was a way for people to communicate during times of slavery, the times of the Spanish Inquisition. And so, and you know, Hector always says when they outlawed drums, they started using their feet, right? So it's very percussive, very call and response, very communal.
Nice.
And it's very beautiful. But 400 years later, here we are still trying to tell our stories, right? And so we use the roots of Son Jarocho music from Southern Veracruz, black music from Southern Veracruz, to not only understand a piece of history that we didn't know about, but also to bring out parts of history that maybe the generations after us will want to know about. And so we do it in English and Spanish. A lot of us don't even speak Spanish very well. I mean, and that also comes with being you know, Mexican American. It's like it depends. It really depends on how your parents raised you.
How did you guys get together? Hector, you want to?
Yeah.
So we're all homies. You know, me and Denise dated for 8 years. So
that's the next podcast.
That's another podcast. That's another podcast right there.
Yeah, we want to get.
All right. So you know, her and Jose, the drummer, they went to college together and did student organizing. Me and Frenchie, we met trying to protect the largest urban farm in the United States, the South Central Farm. There's a great documentary called The Garden. So we were part of that movement. And we started playing music in this space called the Eastside Cafe. It was a Zapatista-inspired space that believes in the principles of self-determination, autonomy, and that's what we learned. And so when we would go play in marches in the streets, people say, oh, the Cafeteros from the cafe. The people of the cafe. But we had women in the group. And so the women were like, we're not cafeteros, we're cafeteras. And so we're like, yeah, you're right. So we actually then decided to call ourselves Las Cafeteras instead of Los Cafeteros, and sort of kind of part of our ethos that we're against patriarchy in all levels, and including language. And so that's why we're called Las Cafeteras. And we took on the feminine name.
Awesome. You guys got some questions?
So making a living in the music industry, I'm sure, is really challenging, and I'm kind of curious, you know, tell us about that, and like what's your tour schedule like, and how do you make ends meet?
We take donations.
In all denominations, any currency,
we don't
big or small.
discriminate. You know what I'm saying?
Meals, hugs. You know, it's hard. You know, there's some months that are really good months, and you're like, yes, I can pay bills. And I can go to Olive Garden. But it's really a labor of love, right? And I think for us, it's not only a labor of love for the music, for us as artists, but also for people that need healing in different ways. And so it's worth it, you know? And it's difficult, but we always say, you know, we have to invest. And I quit my job. I was the last one to quit my job. I loved my job. But I was also going crazy, kind of like balancing, like getting into the airport, going to my office, trying to like work with students that were, you know, going through some tough things. But then I said, like, I need to take a risk, and I need to live a life that I'm scared of. You know, and I'm here to say, like, I'm always kind of like, okay, what's gonna happen? But when I talk to my dad, and you know, he has a difficult time kind of adjusting to this, kind of like, why did I do everything I did so that you can like quit your job and like, you know, and I say, you didn't work so hard just so I could again be part of like this labor system. You gave me a chance to dream, to take risks, and I have to know that if I invest in it, it's gonna come back to me. And it does, because we've traveled all over in places I would have never been. And so I'm living a full life. And yes, I sometimes overthink the money thing, but I really believe that it's going to come back to me, and that I'm going to be taken care of in some way or another. And that if I can't be taken care of by my music, my friends are going to take care of me, because really, like, we're family.
We're in it together.
And so we're going to do it together. And it is what it is. And, you know, sometimes you have to let that go, because money it's an illusion.
Right on.
It's very inspiring.
Any other questions?
I'm a Leo.
You know, with so much that's going on in the world right now, and you know, our crazy president right now, and trying to build walls and stuff. I own a business, I have American, white employees, and I have Mexican employees, and we're just like one big family. And you know what? I travel all over the world, and I meet people all over the world, and it's just sad that we're trying to build walls and waste fucking money doing stupid shit like that, when we should just all be getting along. And I have 3 daughters, and I love what the message that you guys are saying, because they're going to be stoked to listen to you guys, and that you guys are just fire. You guys are fire.
Thank you very much. Hey, we have a rendition of This Land Is Your Land, but like a norteño version, like a Mexican. So we're going to play that right now. So I want y'all to that. It's good, man. Yeah, man.
And then if the Dodgers make it to the series, we're all going to go.
Hey, we can do it. We can do it. Kershaw. Come on, Kershaw.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You want to talk about that for a second? Just the climate that we're living in right now is a super challenging climate. We hear on a daily basis our president scapegoating any number of people, either political leaders, individuals in society, or whole groups of people. And Mexican Americans or Mexican immigrants have been a group that the president has called out by name on a daily basis and scapegoat. How is that being for you, for your family's history, what are your perspectives?
I think this is an opportunity for America to become the country it needs to be. Like, we are given, like, as hard of a time it is the opportunity. And like, as individuals, there's a point, like, individually we all had to make a decision on what kind of person we wanted to be. If we wanted to be good people, principled people, we had to make decisions, that were towards that path. And as a country, we're making that decision, and we're giving the opportunity to be part of that or not be part of it. And we invite people to be part of a just country, man, where we want to build a world where many worlds fit. You know what I'm saying? And we're doing a lot of work. We're doing a lot of work in our communities, because I think there's also a myth, where we talk about, like, where white folks are the only people who can be prejudiced. And that's not true. Yeah. I know I come from a Mexican family, and I always say my dad was super homophobic. He would make a lot of comments about Middle Eastern folks. I have a lot of, there's people in my family that make a lot of comments and statements that they just don't know. So we got a lot of unlearning to do, and we can do it together. Always ask, don't assume, and if you're wrong, just say you're sorry. And I think those 3 things, man, we can go a long way. We can go a long way, man. And Trump, if it wasn't Trump, today it would have been somebody else. I saw a sign that said, Trump did everything in his power to prove he was unfit to be president. You know what I'm saying? He did. Yeah. And so, like, it's not about him. It's about us and what do we want to create. And so everybody should be doing work in your block, in your neighborhood, making sure, like, the people around you feel good, feel safe, and, that we want to build a just society. Everybody, if you have healthcare, I want healthcare. If you want your kids to have a good education system, so do I. Yeah. We actually want the same things. Yeah. And so that's why I think we need to be rolling too, you know what I'm saying? And so that's it, man.
Yeah, we end this podcast the same way every time. And it's called the Stay Human podcast. And the idea behind it is that we live in this world that's constantly trying to suck the humanity out of us. We're told that you are your amount of friends you have on Facebook, or that money that's attached to your ATM, or in some way you're compartmentalized as either an ethnic group or a gender or a sexuality or a party. But how do you stay human? How do you hold on to your humanness?
Oh man, I hang out with my cats. I mean, it's just, I think I have a lot of anxiety. I have panic attacks, and I think that's like the most bare-boned, like humble experience. And everything gets stripped away. And I'm not saying that's my solution. I just think that's my mind and my heart reminding me I'm not a superhuman. And so it reminds me to go back and get back in, right? And be in my quiet space. And dance is really what does that for me, because it's when I honor my most highest self. And I think everyone has a part of themselves that's like the part that they don't like other people to see. And unfortunately, like mine is scary for people to see, but I have people that care about me that can like hold on and remind me like I have to love myself no matter how ugly I feel that day, no matter how out of control. And so I need to heal myself through dance, because that's when I was 15, that's when I was hurting myself the most. And it takes me back to that place, and I say, Denise, just dance and you'll be okay.
Yes. Hector, how about you?
Oh, I'm gonna be thinking about that question for a minute. I'm seeing a life coach right now, and someone who's really helping me think about who I am and where I want to go. And it's been great to really talk to somebody about that. And I feel she asked me a question the other day. She said, if you were your own best friend, what would you tell yourself in order to guide you in the direction you want to be? So I want everybody to think about, like, you are your own best friend. And if you were your best, what would you tell yourself? What would you tell your best friend that you've seen grow up? You know? What are the three things? For one is forgive myself. Forgive yourself. I think there's a lot of things I've done in my life that I hold inside, and I haven't been able to forgive myself. And I know that because there's people that have done wrong to me, I haven't been able to forgive them. And that anger allows me not to forgive myself. So forgiveness is something that, in moving forward, I really have to really learn about and really practice. And that's not, you can't fake that, you know. And that's from a very real place. And I thank you for even opening up the space to talk that. Denise, thank you for sharing that about, the panic attacks and anxiety. I know that's a real thing for you, and we all have our things. And so I encourage people to like connect with folks that are close to you, share that, and ask them for support along the way,
Thank you, guys. Hey, how can folks get a hold of you or find out where you are, get your music?
LasCafeteras.com.
We're on Facebook, we're on Spotify, Instagram.
We're going to be on stage in about 15 minutes, so we got to go.
We better get you out there. Thanks a lot for having us. Las Cafeteras, we got Hector and Denise. Thank you for being here so much on the Stay Human Podcast. Yeah!